And ride with me in my foul life.
What'd y'all think of that last episode, huh? We had a good one. Tony Vandemore. Right before that, had the great Jim Shockey on. Feels good to be a hunter, doesn't it? Feels good to be living in America post-COVID. Hopefully it continues to go down that road. Today's episode of the Foul Life Podcast brought to you by our friends at Gerber Gear. Stay sharp, America. Carry a Gerber wherever you go. Be safe. Put safety first, please. Make sure you always have a sharp blade, a sharp edge. Stay ahead of the competition. Get that meat off the bone. Build that blind. Cut that rope. Anchored down. It's time to go to work. Thank you, Gerber, for believing us. Today's episode of the Foul Life Podcast is also brought to you by our friends and family at the one and only Corning Ford, Corning, California. You want a Super Duty Ford truck? About 8 months ago, a year ago, I'd say go to Corning Ford. But you'll find out through our conversation today, it's a little hard to get your hands on a Super Duty, an F-250, an F-350, one of those badass diesel trucks, even an F-150, a half-tons EcoBoost is tough to get your hands on these days. We're going to go over that today. Why is it? When's it going to end? When can we get a new truck? When can I get a new truck? Everybody likes new wheels. We have today on the podcast Mr. Francis Hopping, a good friend of ours. He pretty much runs the ship down there with the owner, Paul, at Corning Ford. Francis, how are you?
I'm excellent. Really happy to be here with you guys.
You promise?
Always good to see you.
Always good to see me?
Yeah, always good to see you. Always. This means there's some fun in the works.
Yeah, heck yeah. What's going on down there? I mean, I heard that there's about to be a heat wave where you live at about 108 to 110 next week. Is this true?
That is true, but only for about 4 or 5 days in a row next week. So, at least won't be for like 2 weeks straight. But yeah, it's our first big, over triple-digit heat wave of the year. So right now it's perfect outside. 70, upper 70s, just nice, perfect. But next week, 108.
So historically speaking, is car shopping good when it's that hot, or are people staying inside air conditioning, or does that get people out and about wanting a new ride, hoping that it comes with an AC installed in it?
I'd say it varies. Some people aren't working because it's so hot, so they get time to shop. When it's that hot and out there on the blacktop, it's 110, 15, 120 in those cars. The selection process goes a little quicker. You might do a little bit of the homework inside on the showroom and then go out there and pick that rig out and bring it up for the customer. So it varies. We've sold lots of cars on hot days, and in Corning it's hot most of the summer. So it's it's not balmy like Nevada.
Yeah, it's I'd much rather have my weather than yours. I don't consider us balmy. We don't have humidity. We have all 4 seasons up where we reside in. But this COVID deal, this pandemic, here we are in the middle of 2021, over a year after it started. What is the state of the automotive industry right now in America? You guys are one of the largest dealerships in the Western United States, state of California, for Super Duty trucks. What are you seeing? What is it bad right now?
Well, it's we've never had anything like it. I can tell you that. It's hard to say it's bad when we're selling as many vehicles as we are. Not just us, but most dealerships nationwide have had a record-breaking year this last year, and each month seems to be better than the next or better than the last, and it's strange. So production has been cut. I think Ford's off about 300,000 units for the year due to the microchip shortage. And couple that with the shutdowns of the plant due to COVID. supply has been fairly minimal. And then on top of that, you've got record demand. So it's just kind of this perfect storm where, a lot of people got their stimulus money. A lot of people didn't go on vacation, saved their, $5,000 or whatever they're going to spend on vacation, and been cooped up for months and bought a trailer, bought a boat, and need a new truck to pull it. And so everybody's been running out buying stuff. And so we've just seen just insane demand and extremely short supply. So we've never seen anything like it. To give you an idea, Chad, we stock, you've seen our lot, we stock 1,000 to 1,100 vehicles in stock on a normal basis. So sometimes we'll have 1,200, 1,300 units in the system, incoming and on the lot. Right now, before the podcast, I looked, we've got 250 vehicles in stock and 350 in the system. That means, the stuff that's at Ford or shipping. We sold 300 and something last month. So it's a weird time. The next few months are going to be really, really strange, not just for us, but for everybody. I've been in the car business 20 plus years, and I've never been in a situation where there's not inventory to sell people, where people come in, they want a 250 diesel pickup. And not only is there not one available for them right now, but there's not one coming in anytime soon. I've never had to say that to somebody, but it's coming. Right now we still have a few trucks here and there, but in the coming months it's going to be slim pickings.
So, knowing that it's going to be slim pickings, what kind of fear does that put into the overall success of your business model and the business plan that Paul has down there and what you're implementing on a daily basis? Is it you're just at Ford's mercy? There's nothing y'all can do, right? Can you go call a broker and they can go to San Diego or go to North Carolina and find you trucks? Is that a possibility? How do y'all keep the doors open if you don't have anything to sell to people?
That's a good question. And it's funny you mentioned brokers. I get a lot of calls and emails from brokers and people looking for inventory, looking to sell inventory. And the ones lately have been people looking for inventory. But I got one the other day. A broker had picked out 6 of our half-ton pickups and wanted to pay us $6,000, a $6,000 profit on each pickup if we'd sell off 5 or 6 of them at a time to them. And you think about that. We're not that's over retail. That's over the MSRP on the truck. And so they're going to take that truck and sell it to another dealer. Who's going to turn around and sell it to the public. So it's shocking that that's the market right now. So we haven't bought any new vehicles, and we're not going to buy any new vehicles from brokers. And we're not selling any new vehicles to brokers. Even though we can make more money right now, I could sell every diesel pickup I have on my lot for $5,000 over MSRP, not over invoice, but over MSRP. To a broker right now. But if we did that, we wouldn't have anything to sell our customers. And Paul and I talked about it, and I think it's more important to sell, to our customers that need trucks and want trucks than it is to, cash out and, we probably make a little bit more money doing it that way. But then what would we do?
Well, then you got to hope
hunting season doesn't start for a few months. So
yeah, and then you got to worry that if that customer needs an automobile, truck or car, and they've been relying on you guys at Corning Ford for years to provide them with that selection and service, then they come here and you're like, well, we just sold 6 or 8 of them to this broker yesterday. Well, that's going to force your customer potentially to go elsewhere and become a customer, hopefully not, but maybe a loyal customer to another dealership. So you got to keep all that in mind, even though it looks good that, hey, we could get rid of them this quick. A truck's going to show up and pick them all up. We're going to make 30, 40,000 extra on top of it. You might lose 6, 7, 8 customers for life if you do that.
Sure. No, and like I said, our decision was to, sell to our customers and broker can go elsewhere. But, it's not like the dealership next door has got trucks. We're one of the largest Super Duty dealers in the nation. When we don't have any trucks, nobody has any trucks. So it's different.
Say that again. You're the biggest, you're one of the largest what?
Super Duty dealers in the nation.
How do you come up with that number? Because there is, I think the last time I looked, right around 5,000 or 6,000 people that live in Corning. I have more than that in my neighborhood.
Hey, don't sell us short. We got like 8,000 or 9,000 people in Corning. So,
8,000 or 9,000. How are you one of the largest dealerships in the country for Super Duties?
Well, first, we know it's because we partner with the Foul Life and we get great exposure and
Did Rocky put you up to that?
And of course, our friendship and with Rocky Merlo and Merlo Waterfowl, absolutely. But no, we've been doing business for a long time, and we specialize in Super Duty trucks. So, a lot of places don't do that. They sell Focuses and Fusions, and of course they don't make those now. They sell EcoSports and Mustangs, and we specialize in $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 trucks. And when people spend that kind of money on a vehicle, or like I refer to, trucks are like tools. You need a specific tool for your job. You can't just walk in and pick out the red one. You might be able to do that with an Explorer and just, I like the color on that and I like the wheels. But trucks are different. You need specific stuff on trucks that suit your needs and your wants. And so when you deal with professionals that know trucks, they can advise you on the right axle ratio. Is this truck going to tow my camper? How much payload does that truck accommodate? I'm going to put a cab over camper on it, and I want to tow my boat. What truck can I do that with? Those are questions that a decent salesperson should be able to answer. But most dealerships, I would say, a majority of them don't have salespeople that are versed in that kind of product knowledge, and they don't understand how to figure that stuff out, or don't know. Just they'll say, "Oh, I don't know." Well, if I'm going to drop 70, 80 grand on a new truck, I want to know, and that's important. So we've been doing business for a long time. We stock, normally we stock 1,000 units. When people make the short drive to Corning, we normally have more trucks than they've ever seen to look at. And that's important, and not going to a spot where they look at 2 trucks or 4 trucks and, settle on something. You come here and pick one out that, fits. So, I guess that's it in a nutshell.
I know that you're a very politically correct person, Francis. You could tell by looking at you, right? Like you're just very, very well spoken, well read. Here's the real question. Do any of the other diesel trucks made on Earth? So you already knew the question?
I know. No. Ford, let's be honest here. Ford sells over a majority of the work trucks on the road are Ford. I'll be the first to admit, I think everybody makes a decent truck nowadays. Years past, maybe you could say that, some were subpar, but honestly, I think, Dodge and Chevy make decent products. But the best work trucks, the heaviest duties trucks, the trucks that have the most research and development, the trucks that are the strongest, the toughest, the most tested trucks are Ford's, period. And I'm not saying that, Dodge doesn't make a decent truck. I'm not saying Chevy doesn't make a decent truck, but if you're going to go out and spend the money, spend a little bit more in some cases, and get yourself a Ford. And we own a Dodge store, we own a Chevy store. So like I said, I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that, you go to the tool store and, there's lots of different tools for sale. The cheapest tool or the bottom of the line tool isn't always the best tool.
If you had to pick something wrong with the new Super Duties, is there anything? Because I have the luxury, I'm very blessed to have one, thanks to you guys. This motor to me is amazing. The interior, the roominess, the dependability, the toughness, the togetherness. Like, is there anything that I understand warranty and I understand service. We all get that. Things are going to happen, but is there any weak spot in the new Ford? Suspension, transmission, anything? Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
So no. I mean, to answer your question, if I could improve on some stuff, it'd be fuel economy. I'd like to get 30 miles to the gallon truck, and price. I'd like to see trucks that are cheaper. So that being said, if we got rid of the stupid particulate filter in these things, the DEF system, we'd probably save 700 pounds, increase fuel economy, and lower the cost by, I want to say, a couple $1,000 last time I heard that system cost. So I mean that's probably, and that's not a weak spot on Super Duty necessarily. It's just that's on all diesels now. No, I mean we've got a 10-speed transmission that's awesome. 1,050 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, it's like a semi.
Hey, before you move on real quick, explain to the audience, Francis, what diesel exhaust fluid is, the DEF system. When did it come into effect in our country? And is it just a way for the government to make money? Because I haven't figured out what it's doing for our environment, if it is, and what was it implemented for?
So DEF systems came out, I believe it was 2010. Trying to think back here, it was 2010 or 2008. I think it was 2010. They were implemented in diesel, light duty diesel pickups, and basically it sprays it's urea, which is this a fluid that gets sprayed into the exhaust system, and it bonds with the particulates in your exhaust system. And then you have a filtration system, a diesel particulate filter on your exhaust system. It's this big muffler looking, apparatus, and it traps the particulates. And then periodically the engine goes through regen mode, and it dumps raw fuel into the exhaust system and heats up and burns the particulates out. I mean, the concept is that it's supposed to be cleaner for the environment, but I'd sure like to see the math on that, because the way it works is it decreases your fuel economy. So you're using more fuel to burn cleaner exhaust. So I'm really torn on. Like I said, I'd like to see the math on that. I'm sure since it's come out, I haven't seen the study that shows that it outweighs the amount of fuel, the extra amount of fuel that's being used. So, and as far as environmentally friendly, they're starting to come out and say that the urea, after it's burned out, is they're finding that it's maybe hazardous to your health. So that it may go away in the coming years, but it's all about being environmentally friendly, and that's the that was the reason why they implemented diesel exhaust fluid and urea into the exhaust systems. but it's this huge system. I mean, and it's just came out in 2010. I mean, all the sensors that are in the exhaust system to detect this stuff. Nothing but problems, not just with Ford, but Dodge, Chevy. I mean, everybody had issues with, buying a new truck, and they stopped running. They didn't run right, and they were always regenning. In fact, I had a customer in the other day that, had an older truck, and she'd had some work done to it, and it kept going into regen mode, and it was an issue. So I don't know. I don't believe in it. I think it's probably going to go away. And then we're going to come out and say it's, killing all the wildlife around the freeways or something. I can't believe that we're dumping this chemical into our exhaust system and burning it, and it's supposedly cleaner. But I'm not an expert. So I'm not a scientist. So.
But there are talks going on that it could go away in future truck models.
Yes. There's been discussion about it, and rumors that it's going away, and hopefully it does. Because, like I said, you save all that weight. Weight is fuel economy, and then cost. I mean, it's a huge expense.
Right. Do you remember where you left off? You were talking about your torque and your towing ability and your horsepower and everything. When you were going down your list, you were trying to find something wrong with the Ford trucks. Can you think of anything else? And after you're done with that, I want to ask you a question about torque and horsepower and pulling and the economy of that part of the truck.
Yeah, I really can't think of anything.
They're so badass. They are a badass truck.
They really are.
They're like driving a Cadillac. They're so smooth.
We like to say Lincoln. Chad.
Lincoln.
But no, you're right. I mean, they ride great. They pull great. The interior, the back seat on the new trucks, it's huge. The 22 Super Duties are going to get the refreshed dash with a larger screen that everybody likes. Looks like it has a big 12-inch iPod on it. And I mean, some of the trucks have got massaging seats, and it's just, I can't think of anything that they could. Well, let me say, I can't think of anything they could do better. But every year they come out with something that's a little nicer, a little quieter, a little smoother, a little more power. So maybe the new Super Duty will be electric, and be quiet, and
it already is pretty quiet though for a diesel.
No, it is. It's
the quietest Ford of all time.
No, absolutely.
When you start talking about power, you being in the business for 20 years and seeing the ins and outs of these big Super Duty trucks, would you personally get a Ford diesel Super Duty truck chipped? What is a chip? What does it accomplish? Are there risks to a chip? And does the new Ford with the 6.7 liter diesel need a chip?
Okay, so let me answer your last question first, which is no, it doesn't need it. But if you, I have customers that have installed aftermarket performance chips to increase fuel economy, which I think is fine as long as it's not doing anything that's damaging to the car, which in most cases they aren't. But you start adding a bunch of horsepower and torque to that truck. I mean, do you really need it? I mean, what are you going to do with more, 475 horsepower and 1,050 foot-pounds of torque? I mean, that's stupid amounts of power. I mean, they tow, stock dually crew cab diesel 1 ton tows, 34.7 or 34.2. In a gooseneck application. I mean, that's stupid amounts of weight. So, like a regular 250, I think they're rated anywhere from 15 to 20,000 pounds, depending on the configuration. That's more than most people need. I always tell people, hey, if you're going over some steep pass in the Rockies, towing your trailer, it's okay to be doing 60 in the slow lane. Just because the truck will do 90 doesn't mean you need to, like on the older trucks, this 6 liters and 6.4s, these guys would chip them and they get all this horsepower and torque out of them, and they put a 10, 15,000 pound trailer on it and, race up these hills 75, 80 miles an hour because they could, but the things were overheating, and, that motor ran hot anyway, and then they'd have some real issues with it. So honestly, I don't come across on those motors, the 6.4s and the 6 liters more than the 6.4s. But a lot of those people ran chips and got better fuel economy, a little more power. But in the new truck, I don't see very many people chipping them. I mean, I just really not. Again, 10-speed, 1,050 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, what do you need?
What do you need it for?
Economy. Yeah, I mean, what else? What else do you need? So
what are the? I want to make sure I don't get too far ahead of myself with the chips and the risks. There are some risks in it, but I want to ask a fuel question, but I had something else about the chip that I had on the tip of my tongue about the overheating and the performance that they're getting. I just have never seen the reasoning behind it, but I had a thought and it's skipping my mind. I might come back to it. What are the options in fuel tank size on the Super Duties? How, we're talking short bed, long bed. I know there's different tanks. I think mine's a 30.
I think yours is more. I think yours is 34.
34.
I believe
that's quite a bit of fuel.
I'm not one of the sales guys anymore, Chad. So you're putting me on the spot. But I think the new trucks have a 30 or 48 gallon tank, comes standard in a crew cab long bed, and that's the biggest tank that stock tank that I've ever seen in a pickup. So a lot of guys go out and get an aftermarket fuel tank in their trucks, towing and hauling. 48 gallon in a crew cab long bed. That's pretty awesome. But I want to say I believe it's 34, and don't quote me, it might be 36, but I think it's 34 or 36 gallon in a crew cab short bed.
It's still quite a bit of fuel in a truck. You put an aftermarket tank on there. Yeah, I've had a 50 gallon tank where I took out the factory one and put a 50 in there. But I mean, I remember there was some were 20, 21 gallons back in the day. Am I right? Or is that wrong?
Yeah, the older trucks did have I don't know if 21, but it might've been way back, but increased size has definitely been the norm. I mean, each year it seems, not each year, but they've increased a few times over the last 10 years or so. People traveling and hauling. I mean, it's nice to be able to go, 500 miles and not have to stop.
Does this new motor, does it check all the boxes of the 7.3 and beyond, or will the 7.3 go down as the best power stroke Ford diesel motor there ever was?
No, 7.3 will not go down as the best motor ever made. The 7.3, great motor. I give him, my brother has one, and I always give him a hard time. He loves that motor, loves that truck, and the motor is great. But you're talking, what was it? It was 525 foot torque and I think 325 horsepower or 275 horsepower. And it had the E141 transmission in it, which was, probably the weakest point on that truck. The automatic transmission or the overdrive on those transmissions was a little weak. If you towed with that truck and didn't lock out your overdrive, you typically, if you towed a lot, you burn up transmissions. And then the brakes on those trucks were weak. But just to speak for the engines on those were great engines. They were low maintenance. They ran, nothing runs forever without maintenance. If you maintain those engines, they lasted. And it was a great motor. I mean, arguably one of the best motors that Ford ever had in this truck. But the 6.7, I mean, Rocky had his truck in here the other day. I think he had 350,000 miles on that truck. And it looks good, runs good. It's got plenty of power. I mean, those engines, those 6.7s, if you maintain them and take care of them, I mean, they're awesome. So I'd much rather have one of the newer trucks. And it's not just the engine, like my brother's truck, great motor. But he's got the weak brakes, he's got the weak suspension, he just got the rest of that truck is old and not as nice as the newer rigs.
So we're finally in our friendship of 3 years, we agree on something. Finally, I like raw fish. You like California sushi with mayonnaise and fried shrimp.
That's not true.
I like the duck hunt. You love to hunt pheasants that are planted. I've never had a midlife crisis. I think you have one with your new car. Let's tell the audience what you now pull up to the sushi restaurant to greet me in.
It's a Mustang, and on the advice of my teenage son, he says, what did he say? He said, Dad, you're gonna be dead soon. You might as well buy the Shelby. And I've always wanted one all my life, and so yes, I that was my midlife crisis car.
Shelby.
Shelby GT350, great car. I bought a used one, came in, and it was just, I stared at it for about a week, and white with blue stripes. It's the right color. It's just every time I get in, I push the button and it fires up that 5.2 liter Coyote motor in it. It's or the Voodoo motor. It is. It puts a smile on your face. It's awesome. It's like taking that new Benelli out of the box and shouldering it.
Ooh, nice comparison.
So it is. It's just. It's pretty awesome. So,
speaking of awesome, let's talk about a couple different autos. What is a Raptor? Why would I want a Raptor? Why does Uncle Rocky drive a Raptor? Is it a midlife crisis truck? Is it a hot rod truck? Is it have too much power for the size of the thing? And why is there a fascination and a phenomenon with the Ford Raptor? Is that a lot of questions? Because that's how
I just say yes to all that. Raptor is your SVT built Baja Racer F-150. So they developed that truck with Fox Racing. And built special suspension on that truck. It's got quite a bit of travel. They off-road, they are amazing. So I think talking to Rocky after he got his, got a dirt road, washboard road, and in your truck or in my truck, we would bounce down that road. And that Raptor, you could go over it at 60 miles an hour and it just hummed across all those washboards. I mean, it's designed for that.
Is that because of the suspension?
Correct.
It's kind of designed after maybe a Baja 500 truck.
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, it's got more travel and it's got special, like I said, special Fox shocks on it that are, that Ford developed with Fox specifically for that car. They've upgraded them this last year or the year before last. They didn't make them this year, and then they're coming out with a new version, I think, for 22. So we haven't seen many specs on it, but it's coming. Does anybody need one? I don't know. Does anybody need a new Shelby? No, but
okay. Let's put it this way:
if it makes you happy,
you could buy an F-150 EcoBoost that's going to pull any of your camper trailers. Maybe not a fifth wheel, but you got the torque, you got the pulling power in that. You got the Super Duty if you're going to be pulling big horse trailers or bigger enclosed trailers, or you want the fuel economy, whatever you're looking for in a diesel truck. Where does the Raptor fit into the mentality and the buying of, is it like the GT Shelby we're talking about for the truck world? Is it for that guy that needs the hot rod, but also needs the bed of a truck and the ability to have a pickup truck?
So it's a different tool. So, if your job is to, tow and haul and, you spend a lot of time running from point A to point B, that may not be the truck for you. That truck is designed for off-road. Can you drive it on road? Absolutely. but it doesn't tow as much as a regular half ton because of the suspension. They cost more. It's there's things about it that maybe aren't for everybody. Like on my, I have an F-150 and it's a super cab or crew cab with a 6.5 foot bed. I like having the longer bed on my half ton. I tow a boat, travel trailer. And when I'm not, I like having the extra bed space. In a Raptor, you get a 5.5 foot bed only. And so you're kind of limited, but it's wider. It has a wider stance than a normal F-150. Hence, off-road and, out in the desert and out in the woods, it's a little more stable at speed on bumps and they're awesome. If you haven't had a chance to you should take Rockies out sometime and go moto it out in the dirt.
I worry about Uncle Rocky though, Francis. I worry about him and his midlife crisis because I just don't know if he needs that much power. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know if I just keep waiting one day to hear something about that Raptor and Rocky. Rocky and the Raptor. It's a TV show.
As long as he doesn't jump any rice jacks, he'll be fine. So,
question. Talk to the audience, please, Mr. Francis, about the Bronco. The Bronco, when I was coming up as a kid, was what we wanted. Okay, I wanted a full-size Bronco. There's so many different badass looking Broncos through the years, okay, the 70s and the 80s. Then you had the Bronco 2. I wasn't a big fan of the Bronco 2, but now there's been this, what we call a quote-unquote rebirth of the Bronco. Was it taken well by the market? Was it designed the right way by Ford? Was it premature to release it with the model they did? I'm playing devil's advocate. Is it everything that everybody would want and expect in the name the Bronco, Ford Bronco? Were you happy with it personally? Did they sell good? Pretty much in a nutshell, tell me about the last year and a half with the Bronco.
All right. So the Ford announced the Bronco a year or so ago, officially. And they came out, they started taking orders for the big Bronco, the full-size Bronco, which is built on a Ranger platform, in July. The baby Bronco, which is built on an Escape platform, has been out for a while, and we've been selling them. As soon as they come in, they sell. People love them. It's still got some off-road capability, but it's a unibody construction built on a crossover platform. The full-size Bronco, the one that's built on the Ranger platform, is not out yet. Production's supposed to start in July. It was supposed to start in June, but with the chip shortage, everything's been pushed back about a month and a half. And it's really unfortunate. Bronco was supposed to be out early this year. It was supposed to, they took orders last July. We were supposed to start production late last year, and these were supposed to be hitting the market early this year. And with COVID and the shutdowns, supplier shutdowns, that was the main thing. I mean, Ford was ready to build them, but the suppliers that make all the parts, some of them were just shut down due to COVID. So, if you can't get that, door switch, you can't produce the car. So, so that was, that's been pushing the production date back and back and back. And then all of a sudden we have this chip shortage. So it's pushed back again. So, everything we've read on it, everybody we've talked to has nothing but good things to say about it. I think it looks amazing. They're really going after the Wrangler market, which, Wrangler, Jeep basically dominates that specialty off-road rig market, but they haven't had any real competition. So Bronco's definitely going to put a dent in their sales. If they produce a vehicle that looks good, drives good, and does well off-road, that's going to be a big deal. Wrangler has been a great rig, a cult following. Guys go out and they buy a $50,000 Wrangler and sink another 30 grand into parts and accessories of the thing and take it out on the Rubicon. And, I mean, they're awesome, but, let's face it, those doors are held on with straps, and, Jeep hasn't really had to do much on that rig over the last 30 years. There's no competition. They've done some stuff. I mean, they're a little nicer than they used to be, but if you look at it, it's still pretty basic. So, the Bronco is supposed to be more car-like and, like the Super Duty, nice, and still have that off-road capability. So you're getting them with, front-locking differentials and, it's 35-inch tires from the factory. And, it's electronic disconnects on the front sway bar. There's some cool stuff coming out in that rig. So, I think they're going to be great. Can't wait to see them. We took orders for about 100 of them. I think we got allocated 47 or so for the 21 model year. And so we've gone through about 3 weeks of scheduling on them, where they actually pick our orders and commit to building them. So we're slowly creeping along. But between COVID and this chip shortage, it hasn't been fast coming, unfortunately. So can't wait to see them.
Wait a minute. I want to make sure that I have clarity on this. The forecast right now is that the mini Bronco was released, the Sport, and now you're saying for this year you've been allocated the Bronco.
The full size Bronco is going to start production in July
of 2021.
And
okay, and what motors can it come in this equipped?
2.7 liter.
2.7 liter. Okay.
So it's got a little over 300 horsepower. It's going to be pretty awesome. That's the same motor that we got in the Ranger, and it's a power plant.
And I drove, thanks to you, I got to drive the Sport. You talk about fun to drive. You would admit, or you would agree, right, Francis, that these are fun to drive, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Sport's got quite a bit smaller motor in it. It's light, but that 2.7 liter in that Bronco is going to be, it's going to be snappy. So,
I want to know about a truck that I think is my favorite all around hunting camp Ford truck ever. Not just hunting camp, but I'm talking the baddest ass truck and my brother has one. The Excursion with the 7.3 in it back in the day. He's got one, and I beg him to sell it to me. If he sells it to somebody else, I will not ever be his brother again, right? That's the kind of attitude I have towards these trucks. It's got to be one of the most sought after rigs by guys that do what we do. I love them. Where did they go? Is there any talks of that truck coming back? It had to have put a dent in Suburban sales, the GM Suburban for years, but where did it go, and why was it such a badass rig?
Well, it was badass because it had a 7.3 liter diesel in it, and it was the biggest, SUV on the planet. So, those are some pretty big claims to fame. I don't think you're going to see another vehicle like that produced by a manufacturer. The trend is smaller, lighter, not bigger, heavier. There's some companies out there that are taking, Super Duty pickups and converting them into, Excursion type rigs for exorbitant amounts of money. But those 7.3 Excursions were awesome. We had one, back when our kids were small, and, we hauling around 3 kids plus their friends, plus all your stuff, and, plenty of room. And my wife's 5'2", but when I brought that car home, she was very skeptical. And then after she drove it for a while, she was like, I like being the biggest car on the road. it's empowering. So, it's, I wouldn't hold your breath to see one coming out, but a new one coming out. But the Expedition extended length is similar size. You just don't get it in a diesel, and it's not a 3/4 ton.
It's not even close.
No. And the beauty of the Excursion is you could tow 10,000 pounds, put 8 people in it and all your gear, and go wherever you wanted to go. And talk about chips. I know some friends who had those, and going to Wyoming or something, snowmobiling, hooking up a trailer with 4 snowmobiles, all their gear, all their family in there, and hauling ass cross country and the thing, and they get 20 plus miles a gallon. That's it's pretty awesome.
Were there any issues with it? Like, why did it get quit? I mean, maybe you've already answered this, but it wasn't in layman's terms enough for me. Why did they stop?
Again,
it couldn't have been because of sales.
No, it kind of run its course. The trend was smaller and lighter. So it just, it went by the way of the dinosaur, just a little long in the tooth.
There's no way. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just like, that did not run its course. It was like, how many years did they make it?
Let's see. When did they come out with that? They came out with that in 2000, and it ran through 2005 or 6. And the 7.3s were 2000, 2001, 2003. They were great, and they're still great. You see them every once in a while. You don't see them with low miles and in a 7.3 very often, and if you do, they're money.
Well, that's a great question right there. Would you buy a used gas motor in the Excursion right now, depending on mileage, or would that not be a smart move? And
well, in California, gas is over $4 a gallon, and so the V10 in that is not the most economical rig. But
were they dependable? Was that V10 dependable?
No, the V10 was great. Yeah, no, it was very dependable. Got low teens, low mid-teens for mileage. If you drive a lot, that's not ideal.
So let's get down to the nuts and bolts of what we're talking about today, Francis Hopping. Let's get down to a game show that I've started. I'm the host of it. You're the contestant, and you're going to win if you play your cards right. This is called the build out of Chad Belding's new truck. You have a computer in front of you. You have a keyboard at your phalanges there, your fingers.
That's right.
You're going to type into that system you and I's perfect truck for Chad Belding. Like, what does Francis want Chad driving? I know that it's not going to be available right away, but we're patient, we're smart, we're ingenuity. We have a lot of creativity between the two of us. We're unorthodox thinkers, Francis.
Actually, we just got it in. I'm telling you, I'm staring at it. It's on the showroom. It's a beautiful, beautiful blue super cab Ford Ranger, 2-wheel drive, and it's perfect.
You would want me driving that. Are you serious?
I'd like to see you driving it for a week or so. Yeah.
Okay. When can I come pick it up? If I do that, can I trade it in on a good Super Duty?
Now, Super Duty, we're talking about Super Duty orders, and it's going to be a while. To get back, what's happening right now is we're selling everything that's incoming for the next couple months, and it's going to be probably a year before we're back to any kind of normal stock. I'm worried about the end of this year. When things really ramp up for truck sales and tax season, we're definitely going to be short. we're normally, that's the time of the year, November, December, where we're stocked up the most. We go into the end of the year with just gobs of inventory. And this year we're going to be struggling just to have anything on the ground. And then next year we're going to be playing catch up most of the year. So it's going to be strange.
What does this have to do with this game show?
Oh, the game show?
You're really worrying me. You're really,
the truck is right?
The truck is right.
The truck is right?
The price is wrong, bitch. Bob Barker.
Oh yeah, no, that was great. For you, you still want a short bed, right? You don't want that 48-gallon tank and a long bed.
I don't know. What do you think I should have?
Well, I mean,
when I got in this truck, I said I will never own a long bed again. I mean, these things are just, you could turn on a dime, you could park anywhere you want. You do lose some storage. Should I go back to a long bed in your professional opinion, Francis?
Well, the turn on a dime part's really what you're giving up. I mean, the turning radius. So, if you're out there and, out there in some rice jack and you turn around or something and you do that a lot, or you put yourself in positions where you need to, or that's important, that's where the short bed's kind of nice. But as many miles as you drive, the longer bed's going to ride a little smoother. And God knows you take a lot of shit with you. So, the extra space in the bed might be good. What is it? Decked.
Oh yeah, they make them.
They make a long bed version of that, right?
And so does Lear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't appreciate how you and Paul make fun of my accessories. Okay, I have a really good looking.
I wanted to do it on air, but I know your viewers have seen your truck, and I hope they comment on the podcast and put in their 2 cents. I mean, it's a beautiful truck, Chad. I'm not gonna. I'll give it credit, but I'm sure there's an accessory store near you that is completely out of Super Duty accessories. After you drive through town.
That is so. You make me sound like one of those Jeep Wrangler guys. I drive across a lot of deer-ridden highways, and the last thing you want to do is hit a 200-pound whitetail with no grill guard, no brush guard. I mean, what is so wrong with that? Haven't you ever been to Texas?
It's the fender flares and the.
I don't have fender flares. I don't have fender. I don't have fender flares. I do not have fender flares.
The little naked lady on the.
I don't have those. I don't have that. I don't look like Smokey and the Bandit. We got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I don't have any of that stuff going on, dude.
Oh shit! No, it just looked that way. I'm sorry. Wow. No. Hey, for as much driving as you do, absolutely, Grill Guards is the way to go. It saves your front end. I'm sure how many deer you hit last year?
Well, last year was COVID, but the year before, I hit 2 going for
in a couple weeks, right?
No, in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
It was a stormy day, and I'm not going to say where I was, but I even went as far as calling the DNR and saying, "Hey, this just happened. Here's the pins. We're dropping you pins of where they're at. One of them's still alive, but you never know. You never want to get out, even though I want to get out and end it in misery." I asked them, "Hey, can we eat the meat out of these? We don't want the heads." They were both bucks. I don't want the heads. I don't care. And one of them was a dandy. I'm talking like a 155, 160, and. It was a real cold day, and they were down in the thickets, and I don't know if it was like the vibration of the gravel road was making them pop up and just run out, but it was like very last second, just out of the ditch and right into the truck, and I was like, dang it, man. And I wasn't like going 70, I was going 35, 40 and whacking. But the year before that, North Dakota, I hit 2 in 2 nights on the freeway, going 75. So, yeah, you got to have them. You got to have them. It's amazing how many deer get hit. Me and you aren't accustomed to that because you see some out here, but when you start getting into states that are overran with like Wisconsin or New York or Alabama, states that have a ton of deer, there's a lot of deer hit. A lot of deer. Where do we go from here? I can't get a new truck. Then we've come to that conclusion.
No, you have to keep driving yours for a while.
I can get sushi if I come down there this week. Because
not in Corning, but we can't go to
not in Corning, but we are going to go to Japanese Blossoms.
We could definitely do that. One of the sushi places in Chico burned down. They had a fire in their kitchen. They're closing down.
Which one?
I think it was Ichiban.
It wasn't the Rice Bowl. I hope the Rice Bowl's my jam, boy. That's your place.
The Rice Bowl?
That's our buddy Brad's place. He loves that joint.
Oh, that is Brad's place. Yeah. I haven't eaten there in a very long time. So I can't comment on their food, but, it's always, I like to eat. So, as long as you're buying, I'm there.
I don't think I should have to buy. That's what really is throwing me off in all of this. That just makes me lose my appetite.
I think Rocky should buy, and we should just show up. But
last question of the podcast, and I'm gonna let you go because I know you're slammed selling trucks you don't have, which is sad. I hate it for you guys. Would you say yes or no if I asked you, does Paul like me?
No, Chad. No, he does not like
your audio cut out. What'd you say? Does he like me, you think, Francis?
He loves you, Chad.
Thank you.
He really does.
Is he there that you could bring him in for a guest appearance?
He's not.
I'm going to podcast with Paul.
If he was here, he'd say, Chad, stop being so insecure. We love you.
I miss you guys. I haven't seen you in a while. I don't think I've seen you at least. Have I seen you since the end of duck season? Did I see you during turkey season?
No, I think the last time we were out with the guys from Jack Daniels.
Man, it's been a minute.
We got last time I bought you dinner, right?
I think I paid that night. I paid for it in one.
You did not.
I paid for it in one aspect or the other. All right. Well, let's get together soon. I'm gonna have a swimming pool party soon. You and your wife come up here, and we'll have a bottled water and hang out at the pool.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I gotta invite you because you come to my hometown all the time. You don't even let. That's a sign of a good friendship when you come in and you don't even let the guy know you're in his town.
Hey, the last time I was in Reno, it was for your party. So
I know one time I'm going to be watching the news and it's going to be new Megabucks winner announced at the El Dorado Casino downtown Reno, and it's going to be you standing there with one of those big Happy Gilmore checks.
Yeah. Me and Anthony, we're going to be like, "Where's Chad?"
Yeah, you're going to be like, "No, Anthony, I don't want that little check. I want one of the big checks, please. I want the big check." All right, that's Francis Hopp and Corning Ford, the Foul Life Podcast. Today's episode again was brought to you by our friends at Gerber Gear, Stay Sharp America, and at our friends and family at Corning Ford. Shop them. I don't care where you're at; they'll deliver. I know that I got friends in Minnesota, Nevada, Idaho, Tennessee. So many of our friends have bought trucks. That's why Corning Ford is on the map now. The partnership with the Foul Life has been so beneficial both ways. Thank you for admitting it on the podcast today. Francis, I have proof, video and audio proof. Thank you all for listening to the podcast. Thank you to our partners and sponsors, and thank you for supporting those partners and sponsors. Thank you for the downloads, all the listens, all of the subscriptions. Tell your friends, tell your family about the Foul Life Podcast and our sister podcast, This Life Ain't For Everybody, and Where the Pavement Ends. Brand new episodes of Benelli's The Foul Life begin July 2nd, 2021, exclusively on the Outdoor Channel. Heck of a story we got going on this season. California Waterfowl Association, we do a deep dive into what they are doing when it comes to advocacy and conservation and kids and youth and women in the next generation, and how they give back every day to the ducks and geese and so many other populations of wildlife. Thank you, CWA. Thank you, Corning Ford. Thank you, Rocky Merlot. Thank you, Brad Forsythe. Thank you to our entire California family. Tom, Jake, hit that button. This is 2 a.m. Logic. The song is called My Foul Life.